Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're jumping into a real classic, one that sparked so many adventures for generations. We're talking about Enid Blyton's Five on a Treasure Island, the very first one. Our mission really is to unpack this origin story. It's not just revisiting the plot, you know. We want to see how this tale, full of secrets and these, well, incredibly resourceful kids, gives us surprising insights. Insights into character, discovery, and even how things dismissed as worthless can hold real value. We're going straight to the source text, the first book, looking at how Julian, Dick, Anne, George, and Timothy the dog, of course, first teamed up.
Right. And it kicks off with a bit of a letdown for the kids, doesn't it? Julian, Dick, and Anne, their usual summer holiday plans fall through. Polseath is booked up. So their parents decide to send them off to Kirrin Bay to stay with an aunt and uncle they barely know. And they sound, well, a bit intimidating, especially Uncle Quentin, the scientist. He's described as frowning.
Yeah, not exactly the dream holiday setup. It definitely lowers expectations right from the start. So they get there, to Karen Cottage. It sounds quite picturesque, actually, overlooking the bay. Aunt Fanny seems welcoming enough, but then they meet their cousin, Georgina.
Or rather, George. She makes that very clear immediately. And this is where Blyton starts playing with our assumptions, I think. George isn't what they, or maybe the reader, might expect from a girl cousin back then. Short, curly hair, tanned face.
Hates frocks, hates dolls,
Yeah.
loves climbing, swimming. Very much presented as a tomboy.
Exactly. And she's initially quite sulky, isn't she? Very independent, seems to dislike company. It kind of makes you lean in, you want to figure her out. What's behind that standoffishness?
And a big part of what's behind it is Timothy.
Ah, Timothy, yes, her secret weapon almost, her very greatest friend. A big brown mongrel dog, and he's a secret
Because Uncle Quentin can't stand him. Apparently Timothy chewed everything in sight, barked constantly. Drove him mad.
So he got banished. And George, she does something pretty extraordinary. She gives up all her pocket money to pay Alf, a local fisher boy, just to look after Timothy for her.
That says so much about her loyalty, doesn't it? It's a huge sacrifice.
It really reframes her whole character. Her insisting on George, it's about self-determination. Hiding Timothy, it's fierce devotion. You see these tensions early on, like Anne trying to talk about dolls and George just shutting it down.
Right. And Julian, he seems quite diplomatic even then.
Yeah.
Trying to figure George out, smooth things over.
He's the observer, and it makes you think, doesn't it? How often do first impressions hide what's really going on with someone? What does George's insistence on her name and hiding her dog tell you about her need for control, for loyalty on her own terms?
It sets up her core character. And that fierce independence extends to her relationship with Kirrin Island.
Ah, yes, the island. She claims it's hers, explains her family history. Her mother's side used to own lots of land around there. They sold most of it off, but kept the island and its ruined castle. Why?
Because it was considered worthless. Just rocks and ruins. Nobody wanted it.
The irony, this worthless place becomes the center of everything. It's a great example of how value is subjective, isn't it? What one generation discards.
The next finds treasure on. Literally in this case. Because George also knows the legend of the wreck.
Right. The ship, belonging to her great-great-great-great-grandfather, Henry John Kirrin, sank right off the island, supposedly carrying gold, big bars of gold.
But divers had looked before, found nothing. So it's just a story floating out there.
Until things start to shift between the cousins, and it happens over.
Ice cream?
Such a simple thing. Julian offers George an ice cream. And George, being George, refuses. Says she can't accept because she spends all her money on Timothy, so she can't pay him back.
It's that fierce independence again, that code of fairness she has.
But Julian's response is brilliant. He doesn't just say, oh, it's okay. He flips it. He says basically, look, you've got amazing things we don't have. A dog, this incredible island, a shipwreck. Hi, we'd love to share those with you, so let us share things like ice cream with you.
It's genius. It's not charity, it's a partnership. He's valuing her contributions.
Exactly. He gets her currency. It's not about money. It's about shared experience, mutual respect. And that's what breaks through. She smiles, properly, maybe for the first time, admits she's glad they came.
That's the turning point. And soon after, she takes them out in her boat. Shows them exactly where the wreck is, using landmarks, the church tower, a hill, the castle. She knows it by heart.
Julian even tries to dive down, but it's too deep. He sees the wreck, sort of forlorn down there, still out of reach.
You know, it makes you think about generosity. Julian's offer wasn't just about ice cream. It was about seeing value in what George offered, things that weren't money, like sharing the worthless island.
Absolutely. True sharing, not just giving. And just as they've bonded, just as the wreck feels close but untouchable, Nature intervenes.
George predicts it, doesn't she? She senses this massive storm coming, even when the sky looks okay.
She has this connection to the place, reads the wind, the waves. It's almost like she's part of the island's rhythm.
And the storm is intense. They get caught out on the island, have to take shelter in the castle ruins.
Right. In the one room that's still sort of intact, they even manage to light a fire, very resourceful, jackdaw sticks and sandwich paper.
And then the storm does something incredible.
It's dramatic. Huge waves. Great walls of gray-green water, as Blyton puts it. And then the miracle. The storm physically lifts the old wreck off the seabed.
Lifts it right up and smashes it onto the rocks near the island, making it accessible.
Can you imagine? George is ecstatic. "It's my wreck," she shouts. The sea literally delivered it to her.
So naturally, they explore it as soon as they can.
Of course, they clamber aboard, find what they think is the captain's cabin, and inside, hidden away, a box. Wooden, lined with tin, very old.
And inside the box.
Couple of things. An old diary, really pulpy and fragile,
Good.
and a queer map.
Ah, the map. This is the big moment.
Huge. George unfolds it, trembling. It shows Kirrin Castle, but before it was a ruin. It shows the layout, including the dungeons. And then they see it. Printed clearly on the map, one word. Ingots.
Ingots. Gold bars. The legend was true. And the map shows where they are.
Exactly. Hidden in the dungeons of Kirrin Castle. Mind-blowing discovery.
But they can't get the box properly open at first, can they?
No, it's stuck fast. So in a moment of perhaps slightly reckless excitement, they decide to throw it from an attic window at the cottage.
Hoping the fall will break it open.
Right. Which it does. But
Uncle Quentin finds it, and he is not happy.
not at all. Furious about the noise, sees the broken box, the old map. George tries to explain about the gold bars, the ingots, but he just dismisses it. Nonsense, basically.
Typical adult move in these stories sometimes. He just doesn't believe them.
Worse than that, he sees the old papers, thinks they might be worth something to a collector, so he sells the box and its contents.
That's what's on the map.
Sells the map, the diary, the lot, to an antique buyer who happened to be visiting.
Oh no, that's disastrous.
It gets worse. They soon find out the same antique buyer is now trying to buy Kirrin Island.
What? Why?
He says he wants to rebuild the castle, turn it into a hotel.
But Julian figures it out, doesn't he? He's sharp.
Very sharp. He realizes the buyer must have looked closely at the map after buying it. He must have seen the word Ainda plates. The hotel plan is just a cover. He wants the gold.
And George must be devastated, losing her island and the treasure.
She's absolutely anguished. It's her island, her family's legacy, her discovery. You know, it's interesting how natural events like that storm can just suddenly change everything, reveal secrets.
Totally. And how the kids have to adapt so quickly, from finding treasure to hiding secrets to now needing a counterplan.
Exactly. They can't let the buyers get the gold. They decide they have to get there first.
So it's full-on adventure mode now. Planning at expedition.
Meticulous planning. Spades, ropes, torches, food. Rugs the essentials for a dungeon treasure hunt.
They head back to the island, ready to find the dungeon entrance shown on the map replica they made. But then, Timothy again.
Always Timothy. He gets involved, doesn't he? Chasing a rabbit, like dogs do, and he suddenly disappears. Falls straight down an old, overgrown well shaft in the castle courtyard.
Oh gosh. See, okay.
Seems okay, just stuck down there. But his accident is crucial. It reveals this hidden well, and they realize it must connect down to the dungeons somehow. An unexpected route.
But not the main entrance.
Not the main one. That comes moments later. Anne, just sitting down for a rest, feels something under the grass. She clears it away and finds a stone slab with an iron ring set into it.
The dungeon entrance. Just like that.
Amazing luck, or maybe fate. They heave it open and descend into the darkness, the echoes. It must have been thrilling.
And down there, they find the locked door shown on the map.
They do. Julian and George manage to smash it open.
Right.
And behind it, there they are, untidy piles of these dull, yellowish-brown, brick-shaped things.
The ingots.
The gold ingots, a fortune just sitting there. They've done it.
But the story's not over. Trouble finds them.
Right when they're celebrating, the men appear. The buyers. They must have followed them or known about the entrance, too. They trap Julian and George in the dungeon cell where the gold is.
And one of them has a gun.
Yes. Blyton adds that real sense of danger. A revolver. It gets serious.
The men need Dick and Anne to help move the gold, so they make George write a note.
They do. But George is incredibly clever under pressure. She writes the note, seemingly complying, but she signs it, Georgina.
The name she hates.
Exactly. It's a tiny detail, but she knows Vic and Anne will notice. It's a warning signal.
That's brilliant. And Dick gets it.
He does. He reads Georgina and knows immediately something is wrong. George would never sign that willingly. His reaction is just fantastic. He realizes they're in trouble.
So what does he do? He can't go through the main entrance.
No, the men are presumably watching that. He remembers the well where Timothy fell. He bravely decides to go down the well shaft himself using a rope in the dark.
Wow. That takes guts.
Absolutely. He has to squeeze past a fallen slab partway down, but he makes it to an opening into the dungeon passage, finds the door the men locked Julian and George behind, shoots the bolt back from the outside. Rescue.
Amazing. Using the accidental discovery sparked by Timothy, it all connects.
It really does. Observation, bravery, quick thinking. Dick is the hero of that moment.
But they still need to escape the island. And the men have their boat oars.
They do. The men took the oars to strand them, but they underestimated George.
What does she do?
She finds an axe somewhere in the ruins, marches over to the men's motorboat, and just completely smashes the engine to bits. Utterly disables it.
No way.
Yes, then stands back and tells them, "You won't be able to leave my island now." It's such a fierce, powerful moment for her.
That's fantastic. Turning the tables completely so they get back to the cottage.
In their own boat, presumably finding spare oars or paddling, they burst in, trying to tell Aunt Fanny and Uncle Quentin everything at once.
Must have been chaos. Hard to believe, probably.
Total chaos. Overlapping sentences, excitement, fear. Uncle Quentin is initially skeptical, as you'd expect. But then Anne, probably overwhelmed, bursts into tears. And that seems to convince him. The sheer emotion of it makes him realize it must be true.
And this is where we see Uncle Quentin really change.
A profound change. He goes from this grumpy, dismissive figure to, well, a proud uncle. He praises their bravery, their cleverness. He's genuinely impressed.
And the biggest sign of his change.
He welcomes Timothy into the house. Finally, no more banishment. That's huge for George. It's everything she wanted.
Symbolizes his acceptance of her, really, and the family's now rich from the gold, presumably.
Yes, the ingots represent a small fortune. Their lives are set to change financially, but the personal changes are almost bigger. George even decides she wants to go to boarding school with Anne.
After being so solitary, she's discovered the value of companionship.
She really has. And that leads to her final, really lovely gesture. She decides to draw up a proper deed, to share ownership of Kirrin Island and the castle.
Share it with the others.
Equally, with Julian, Dick, and Anne. Because, as she realizes, it's fun to share things.
Wow. From it's my island to it's our island. That's quite the journey.
It encapsulates the whole adventure, doesn't it? Finding treasure, yes, but also finding friendship, finding family connection, finding yourself. The gold is great, but those relationships forged in that adventure are the real treasure.
Absolutely. So we've sort of deep dived into this first adventure, seen how it set up these iconic characters. We saw their bravery, their quick thinking, how facing danger together really bonded them.
And how something dismissed as worthless, the island, the wreck, maybe even George's initial sulky attitude held incredible value.
Yeah, it really makes you think. This deep dive showed us a worthless island, a ruined castle, even a supposedly difficult girl held keys to, well, actual gold, but also huge personal growth. So maybe the final thought for you is, what seemingly worthless or overlooked things in your own life, if you approach them with that same curiosity, that same openness to sharing, what surprising treasures might they reveal?